entire team. So that is interesting. But I'm going to introduce myself since the stream is just starting on Twitch. I founded the Lift and Shift Foundation. Hi, and Thursday nights we have been doing this thing called the STEM Steam Engine, and I think we're probably going to rename it now that there's more participation from our design team. But it's a feature of our nonprofit, the Lift and Shift Foundation, and you can read more about it in the About section, but we advocate for veteran inclusion in science and technology through programs that build confidence and educate. Is the mouthful. I just like to say that people have a seat at the table when it comes to science and tech, and none of this is hard. You can do this. You don't need a PhD or even a bachelor's degree. This is it's fun stuff, and it doesn't need to be challenging or complicated. So I try to skip all the math conversations. I don't like to have a stream here where we're just chatting about math and everything else. I leave that part of it out. And we have a lot of robot battles usually on Saturdays. Thursdays is kind of my time to steal the show for a bit and help bring our project to life outside of a Slack channel and a Slack workspace. So this is where I kind of take over and share the things that we're working on as a design team, and it's not always me. The team gets to join in, so there are a couple people on a Teams meeting right now with me, and they can chime in. It's also possible that the team is watching on Twitch, so they can chime in with comments in this channel, in the chat. Excuse me, but enough about the process and the program and things. I'm gonna have a glass of water. Oh hey, look at that! Ooh, that is so cool because it says first time chat from new viewer. I don't know how it keeps track of that kind of stuff, but that is cool.
Very cool.
Yep. And so these are parts of the design team, people from behind the scenes where we're working on a few projects here. First, before I get into the main project, I just want to say that our design team is making these trophies and prizes for our Battle of the Bots program, and I was lucky enough to grab a part out of. Is my screen moving sideways? I think my screen is moving sideways. That is funny. Cool. So I printed this part this morning. I snagged it out of one of the gang's Tinkercad workspaces, and we'll get into that later. You can see it kind of up there in the corner. But this was the start of a design, and I dig it, so I just snagged this part and printed it because this is the part that was meant to be in glow-in-the-dark filament. And this is glow-in-the-dark. It's been charging in my windowsill all day, and you can kind of see it's starting to look a little glow-in-the-darkish now that I've hidden it from the light. But it's a light bulb with a gear in it, and it seats into this stand or this base. I don't really have a good name for it yet, but it's very cool and it's very intricate, and it worked out really well. So I'm gonna highlight it here for a second. I don't know if I can. Ooh, maybe I can. Give me 1 minute. I can share this screen. Steal that away for a second, and I can share pictures I took from my drive. Let's see. Let's go with this one. Dun dun dun. We're gonna hop right into it. So I'm gonna share my screen. Can I share my screen? Am I sharing my screen? Can you see that?
I see your fingers holding one piece.
Yep. Yeah. That's the view. Yeah. So I'm gonna zoom in on that for Twitch, and say this is the print that I was just holding in my hand. That's this right here, and you can see the detail. That's very top layer actually turned out really well. You can see lines in the bottom of the light bulb, and that is just one layer on the top that was printed. So it's roughly 0.2 millimeters tall. So it's very. You can feel the texture on your finger, but it doesn't protrude very high out of the the overall design. And I dig this design. It took me a minute to flatten the bottom from where it was in the mount, but it's super cool and it glows in the dark, and I'm excited to do more of it. As I was looking at this and as I was looking at the model and taking this apart, come back to me for a second. That is weird that I'm sharing screen automatically. I didn't ask to share screen, so if you're staring at my fingers there, that's cool. But what I was thinking about this project is I almost want to see a key holding this thing in. I think it would be super cool to kind of maybe make the gear in the middle something that looks like a key that fits into the base and holds this light bulb down. Maybe that's where we can have some kind of secret purpose for the light bulb or for the gear. Something we were chatting about behind the scenes on Tuesday was turning this trophy or this prize for our Battle of the Bots events into something that looks just like the average memento that you would stick on a desk, but it has a secret purpose. Like you take a part out of it and you can use it as a bottle opener or door stop or something weird, But as I was looking at this part, now I'm thinking to be able to have a key that kind of holds down the light bulb, but then also have the key come out, and the key does something else, or the light bulb does something else. Maybe this is how you open like cans of soda or something. It intrigues me because these are the type of things that you look at and you think it's ornamental, and then it has a hidden purpose for people. So I'm very excited about the idea that we could add like function to something that has style, and that's an ongoing project with our team. I'm just excited about it, so I wanted to talk about it in chat and say there it is. But that's not really what we're doing here today. Tonight I wanted to take a few minutes because we stumbled onto some new features in Tinkercad, and it kind of threw me at first because I didn't know what to do with it, but now I kind of feel like I know what to do with it. So I'm very, very psyched about this idea that we're gonna make some cookie cutters for a veteran who reached out and asked our design team if we can make cookie cutters. I mean, if we can 3D print cookie cutters. So yeah, of course, that's a thing that happens. We started turning images into shapes 2 weeks ago, and it worked out really, really well for us. And my screen is moving. That's gonna creep me out for the next hour at least.
Yeah, why is it moving?
I don't know. Oh, because I touched my desk, and there it is. My desk is shaking just enough so that the camera arm, it must be the angle of the camera arm. I've shifted it around so that it's
it like slowly pans.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what's weird to me. I must have put it at some kind of angle where there's some kind of like resonance from me hitting the desk that's just at the right frequency to make it like shift and keep going. It's very weird, and a little cool to think that, because it just like slides like there's that harmonic spot where it just looks like it's going. So it is going to distract me quite a bit. And now I keep looking up there waiting to see if I'm going to catch it sliding. But yeah, so this is a cookie cutter we've been working on, and we have got a few different versions of it. I want to take it a step further today. These work, and they're very cool. Before we do anything with the cookie cutters and do any changes in Tinkercad, we're going to spend like I don't know, maybe an hour in Tinkercad changing these around into different shapes. Then I'll take to the printer, and I will say that these are printed in a material called PETG. It's very, very similar to the material that they make water bottles out of. In fact, these probably closely resemble the caps from a water bottle. So if you go buy like a $1 or $2 bottle of water, little bottle of water, and you have the hard cap that screws onto the top, the bottle is called PET, polyethylene something. I can't remember the names right now, but and the cap is also a similar material, and this probably resembles the material for the caps that you're used to screwing on and off of your water bottle. This does not mean that everything that comes off of your printer is food safe. Generally, things are not food safe when you 3D print them. They're not meant for consumption, and there's a reason for that. You probably can't see it here, but if we go back to my view of my little fingers here, and you look at this image closely, you'll see the layers from the 3D printer. Excuse me. So the 3D printer oozes out this plastic, and it kind of in a little string almost, and the string, the filament line is melted, and it kind of melts to the rest of the plastic that's already there. So the 3D printer has the ability to make this gaps or creases or folds or voids, abscess, recess, whatever you want to, whatever words, but there's the opportunity for little spaces that can hold food particles, bacteria, all kinds of other stuff. So anytime I talk about food, which happens to be a lot, but food and 3D printing, I feel the urge to tell people that this is my safety brief, my coming back to the big screen with me here. This is my way to make sure that people are aware that these look cool, and there's probably a little bit of dough that might get stuck in here. It doesn't mean it's safe and perfect for handling food right off of a 3D printer. There are probably some things you can do to it to make it better, like sanding, smoothing. If you have a rock tumbler, some people use those. I'm really curious to see how a rock tumbler with some fine sand will deal with some of the edges on 3D prints and things. But generally speaking, this kind of stuff, I don't tell people right away like oh yeah, just print it and use it and eat off of it and it's cool, it's good. It does need some kind of prep afterward to make it more appropriate for food. But that's my warning, and that's the end of my soapbox for there. I kind of done just talking and staring at stuff. Tonight I wanna make another cookie cutter, and I wanna separate the outer edge of the cookie cutter from the inner shape of the cookie cutter as an embossing, like a way to emboss things or impress flat icing and things like that. I was very tempted to say that it could happen here because this is a flat surface on the back, if you see it like that, but it doesn't. Oh, I see a person trying to join. Hello. Hi there. Hey, didn't want to ambush you, but we're already live, so if and there goes my camera sliding again. That is hysterical to me now, because I'm so distracted. I'm just like watching it now all the whole time. But more of our team is join the stream and join the chat and join the group. Hey, in case you missed it, I was just chatting about your light bulb, and since you're here and you were the one designing this, I thought I'd come back and just say my camera just keeps going back and forth. I was looking at this and I was printing it, and then this morning what I kept thinking, first I was worried that the like you mentioned, the indent, the carve out for the gear was a little almost all the way through, like it might need to be raised up some. But when I was printing it, I was looking at it and thinking, oh, I could probably pop it out of there, and that led me to this thought, like, oh, maybe we can make the gear part of the like the part that sinks into the mount and turns like a key to lock this in place. And then maybe we can do something with either the light bulb being some kind of functional piece, like a can opener, like a soda can opener, or a bottle opener or something, or the key, the gear that with the key that comes in and out. Maybe that's the thing that does something. Maybe that's I don't know, an ice scraper. Who knows? I'm just like throwing out ideas at this point, but I was thinking about ways we could make this both stylish and functional as a kind of a follow up to what we were talking about on Tuesday. But I dig it, and it is glowing. If you kind of take a peek, you can see some of the glow in the dark. It's a good size for now. It's not too thin, not too thick. Fits in your hand, and if we're talking about something ornamental like a prize or a trophy, this kind of fits, especially if it's the thing that everyone gets. I think it fits really well. Maybe we we have time. We have a few months left before we come up with anything, and I do wanna share it with the intended groups so that they can get excited about it too. So we'll chat more about it though offline. But I was just here before you got here. I was just bragging about the design team and how excited I was about all this stuff. So I had to talk about it, and you can probably see the close up on the screen sharing thing. So yeah, that's the blow up right there, and it looks really good. It worked out really well. You can see the lines in the light bulb from the threads. You can make out all of the teeth in the gear and everything else. I dig it, and you can kind of see the outline on the outside. It looked like there might be holes in it from the way Kira, the slicer, laid out the images, but it filled in. It filled in well. I think the gaps on the sides were something like 0.1, 0.2 millimeters. So that space kind of like fills in so that you can't tell. And now it looks like an edge around the outside. Oh no! Did I lose everyone? I think I lost everyone. Boo! All right, cool. Yeah. I've disappear, come back. This is kind of like me sharing what the team is doing and getting out here, and the team can get involved and everything else. But we're gonna switch gears back to our cookie cutter. So, dun ta ta. Or you can come back. I got you. Hold on. There's got to be a way to disable that thing. That is super extra for teams. So everyone on the stream can kind of figure out this is our team, like checking in and we want to see what's going on. We want to be part of this too. So I dig that. We're gonna ditch the light bulb and head into Tinkercad, and I'm gonna start taking some of this apart and chatting. So from the stream point of view and the Twitch point of view, my big pea brain is gonna get off the screen and go away. For the gang on this end, I'm still gonna share my screen. We're just gonna go to a different tab. What do we do here? Okay, so let's get rid of that. It's okay. It's quite all right. You're here with us on Teams, and that is absolutely cool, dude. And let's see. So this is Tinkercad, and for people who do not know, it is made by Autodesk, the same people who make AutoCAD, Fusion 360, Revit, the Inventor, all kinds of products and things. But this is a web-based application, and we've been building these cookie cutters right here. You can see the cookie cutter in my hand, and you can see it right here on the screen. You can see which one. That one right there is the one I'm holding in my hand right now. Oh no, it's not. That one is the one I'm holding right in my hand right now, and it looks just like that. I mean, it printed pretty well. I dig it. Oh, and you can see my little fix right here. My little fix did not. Oh, it did not come out. Oh, wait. So let's check that out. Let's let's take a peek at that, because I had some errors, some like flaws in this print. And if we disappear that right there, you can see this little notch right there on the screen. And it's such a small little notch. And if I come back to this view right here, you can kind of see it. It should be right there. And you can barely make out a little tiny nub. It looks like a blob almost. It looks like had a little too much filament when it printed. So it did, that wasn't enough to make a big indent in what I was doing. You can, now that I'm looking at it, yeah, you can kind of see a little bit of it right there, but it did not have much of an impact on the model. But we're gonna go back and we're gonna sort this out. We're gonna separate this, so you can see where I started working on separating this. So we have this outer shape right here, and we're gonna leave that as a cookie cutter. And I'm gonna actually make that taller, because as a cookie cutter it should be a little taller. It's what is the height out there? Let's zoom in on it. The height is 11 millimeters, millimeters to inches. This is roughly a ½ inch tall. And lucky for me, I can verify this on the screen. So we have the cookie cutter right here. Oh, dropped it. Almost dropped it. Breaking out my trusty digital caliper. Let's check it out. We're gonna look at this, and it came in at 10.5-ish millimeters, so roughly ½ a millimeter short, or lower in height than we made it. Some of that is the layer height on the 3D printer, and that's these layers are about 0.2 millimeters thick. So 5 layers is a millimeter. It went up like what, close to 60 millimeters, 55 layers. So if each layer fuses a little bit down into it, you can see it's probably like 0.195 millimeters per layer, and they kind of like melt into each other. So there's a little bit, maybe a little bit of tweaking I have to do on this printer if I want to make it perfect. Changing the steps for the stepper motor that spin the lead screw that raises the this gantry, if you want to call it a gantry, or an arm, or any of that stuff. And I don't really have it like fine tuned to perfect. I feel like a ½ a millimeter is within a tolerance, so it works well for me. But for a cookie cutter here, we're gonna make this a little bit taller. I'm thinking cookie cutter is probably like 3/4 of an inch or so. So, in fact, let's stop. Let's undo that. What I want to do is there are different shapes here. So we've got this shape here on the bottom, which was 3 millimeters, 3.15. And that's reasonable, like, lip for the edge. So we're going to keep that about 3 millimeters. And we're just going to raise up the cutting surface, the part that's going to cut into the dough. And we'll kind of make that like maybe around 3/4 of an inch. I'm gonna switch to the big view on Twitch now. But that's a little better right there. And that looks reasonable for a cookie cutter. I will also note that the edge of the cookie cutter here it doesn't look too thin. I was concerned that in designing this, that this border that I'm sizing right now would be too thick, and it wouldn't work out very well for this model. But it's seated pretty good. It's all right there. So we're gonna make sure that's one shape. That is one shape. Cool. So that's like the low-hanging fruit right there. But we've got all these intricate shapes in the middle, and we kind of want to design something for that. So the original shape is right here, and we want to be able to recreate that in something that is like a stamp. So we can try to do a few things with this. We can try to well, I wanted to talk about the features, the new features in Tinkercad. So let's talk about that. Let's look at this. I started using some of the features. So there is a fill mode and corners and this line width option here. If you're checking out the menu, and I can blow up the menu a little bit. Let's make the menu big so you can see this. There we go. So there is a line width, and you can change the line width. So if I were to let's just go back to default right here. Default leaves this shape just like that. Now we can do the silhouette of the shape, which leaves a silhouette on the outside. That's the entire outside shape like that. That might actually be helpful for us, right? Soon. There is an outer line shape which traces an outer line, and then we get this line width option. So it's like, how thick do we want to trace the line? We can go crazy, or we can go down to 0.01, and that I find to be interesting because I can't print that. That's too thin to print, but we can start to see some of these other options here as we trace the outside. If I just go with a 1 millimeter outer border, that starts to resemble the part a little bit better. Or we can go with inner line, which traces the inside, not the outside, and that creates a new shape for us, which is interesting. Also, if we can make this a hole, we can make it a solid, but I'm going to switch back to my regular view, which is very, very small, 2/3 of the regular size, because it makes my the toolbox, the toolbar on the side, the thing where I grab all the parts, it makes them smaller. So we can check that out. Look at that. That actually right there might actually like work for us. And this is where I wanted to experiment with some of this. If we make this bigger, look at that. Huh. That could be helpful, because what we need to do is kind of create all these pieces and parts. And what I would normally do in Tinkercad before was make these boxes and cut and erase all kinds of things in it, and before you know it, you have all these shapes, individual shapes like this. So let's say actually let's move this down here and I can show you. If I were to delete all of the parts in there like that, then we start ending up with the individual parts then I would place them around and organize everything, and that's going to take forever from the space. So I'm going to try a few different things here with the prints that we have, and I'm going to start with our original. Oh nope, wrong button. Let me undo and take away my little box that I made. Poof. Okay, cool. So I'm going to start with our original. Actually, I'll just take this one. So I'm going to make this a silhouette. There we go. So now we have the outside shape. And we want this shape to fit inside here like that. Not because we want to fill in the hole, but we want a cookie cutter that fits inside this. So this is going to end up being the base to hold all our parts and all the stamping type stuff that we're going to do. So we're going to make this slide inside. And I'm going to hold down Shift while I do this to kind of like keep the scale between everything. I feel like that is a decent, a reasonable gap around the outsides to make this all slide in together and work without too much struggle right there. You can see it, the pink piece is not touching really any other parts. So if this pink piece, if we were working with these, and we were grabbing this pink part and sliding it up and down to stamp stuff, it would not bind on the cookie cutter shape. So I feel like this is good, and it's also close enough to the sides so that we can't really like butcher this too bad. It's not gonna like wiggle around a whole lot. This should be close. So we will go back to that right there, which is the undo that I'm going to leave it at. Let's center that again. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, so now we've got that centered and set. So we can work with this part, and what we want to do is make the imprints for everything else on this. And this is we might make more than one of these right here. This might be the part that we make more than one of. So I'm excited to see what we can do with this. So maybe it's possible we put this on top. I will use this as a reference for right now. We will make this thinner though. How thick is that? Let's take a close look at it. It's roughly 2 millimeters tall. I feel like that's reasonable for us. Actually, yeah, we'll use a 2 millimeter base for that right there. So it'll be a little flexible, but it won't have a lot of give in it, and it won't have so many issues with sizes. So now let's take a peek at what happens if we jam this on here. Well, obviously we need to shrink it down a little bit because it's overflowing on the sides. But well, let's do that. Let's shrink it down. Let me grab a glass of water here.
How do you feel about, or have you already thought about the backing of this slide-in piece? Because it seems like you slide it in, but it needs to not slide all the way through.
I think I'm gonna leave it as something that can slide all the way through because that gives the user the option to for example, it gives the user the option to use the cookie cutter first, and then if they want to drop the other part in and pull the cookie cutter away. So
I see.
that's kind of what I'm going for, is like a sleeve to kind of align the what we're imprinting on the cookie. That way,
not just an exchangeable.
right, yeah, right. Because what we did like a week or two ago with this was we kind of made this stationary so that it does everything all at once and stamps everything together if that's what we want. After talking to our expert cookie veteran requester, I saw so many pictures of so many cookie cutters that look just like a cookie cutter shape, and then another individual set of shapes that are used not exactly for the cookie but for the icing. And this is the crazy part that I did not know anything about is that people have sheets of ice. You can just buy like a sheet of icing and just like carve it into these elaborate shapes, and I very much want these sheets of icing now. But no, I just eat it like straight out of the jar.
Yeah, I think they made almond based.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're good.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah. So I saw so many of these in our emails back and forth that it's like, oh, look at this, look at that, and I was very impressed with the fact that people make their cookie cutters so that you can use them for the icing, or you can use them to imprint, so that they slide in and out. And that to me was like the ultimate multi-purpose part, because you can kind of assemble it all together, or you can leave it as two individual pieces and do basically two different processes with them. So I'm going with that one for now. If we have time, I may try to do something like you were talking about, which we may come back to this shape here and make a different one. But I feel like this part up here is going to be challenging to come up with the right shape here. So I want to focus on this one first, because I think this is a good start, but I worry that some of these features are too thin or too thick, so that it won't stamp, and it won't be easy to trim around a cookie basically, or icing. But let's just start with shrinking this down. So my goal here today is actually to kind of trim these into a few pieces, or create a few different options here, and print a few of them and see what they look like, if they will actually work, if they're too bulky for the actual trimming part. So this is still kind of over. Oh no, it's not overhanging. That actually looks pretty good right there. So we can do the 4 millimeters. So that's going to stick out 2 millimeters from the base. That's cool. That could work. I think we'll go with that one for a first try. And let's add a circle in there too. Let's change the circle. I wonder if we can. I want to measure. No, because they're different sizes. I can't measure. We just have to kind of guess. See what looks right. So let's zoom in on that. Let's see if we can actually make the circle the way it was intended. Ooh, as I get excited and slide everywhere but where we're looking. I'm going to snap grid and slide down a little bit to a method that works a little easier. 0.01 is my grid. So if I'm using my keyboard on Tinkercad and I'm hitting the left and right arrows, you can move things by the dimensions of the grid, and this is how you set that to 1 millimeter, half millimeter, 1 millimeter, or 0.1 millimeter. So here I'm moving by 1 millimeter increments. Here I'm moving by 0.1 millimeter increments, so it makes it easier to line things up. But we're going to make this 4 millimeters tall, so it's the same height as everything else. Dope. I did not want to grab that. What I want to do is align this. It is set in the center. Very, very cool. Okay. Is that 4 shapes? That's just 3 shapes. Okay, that is what we were looking for right there. There. And let's move this down just a little bit like that. That looks reasonable. I'm going to try something extra special here. You know what? I'm not going to do it with this part. We're going to do it with the actual this part down here, the star. I'm going to steal that part right there. Oh no, wait. I'm sorry. We're going to use the star shape as a whole. So I'm getting very, very excited about this now. So let's try this and carve out that actual hole right there. Oh, it's not the same kind of star. Oh, that's terrible. We can make that star, though. Is that star the same? Nope, it's not. So those stars have a different shape to the point, so that each angle mirrors the shape on the opposite side. makes it a challenge, makes it more work. Doesn't mean make it impossible. We would have to do something like this and turn them sideways and make 5 of them and align them. I'm not going to do that, but it's good to know that that's the difference between these two stars here. Right there. Fascinating. Cool. So we're going to leave this like this, but I'm going to get extra special and try to make, I'm going to duplicate this one. And I'm going to turn it into a hole. I'm going to raise it up just a tiny bit so I can see it, so I don't lose it. And we're going to turn it into a hole. And I'm going to shrink it down another. We'll go to 4 millimeters. Try to put it right in the middle there. We'll grab this. Center it all again. That actually does look kind of centered right there. And of course it's going to be sticking out the bottom, so I don't want to do that. But we will lift it up and drop it down. We'll lift it up so that it's lined up to the top, to the 4 millimeters. So right there, we're going to set it basically on top. Now I'm going to drop it down to 2 millimeters so that it is the same height as the tan parts. Now I'm going to combine all of these. And it's going to look a little crazy. There we go. So now I just added the star in the middle. Or the circle in the middle with the star. And the round part should trim/cut. That's the... I think that's the shape we're going to leave. Oh, wait. No, I made that one giant part. Undo. Like that. We want that. There we go. Okay, cool. Okay, so there's one part we're going to use. We're going to print that for our cookie cutting partner. And now I want to work on something with thinner lines. And this might end up being the challenge, is that we kind of want something with lines that are thin enough so that they don't impress, or yeah, they don't impress, but they like cut. And I'm open for suggestions on how to start with this one. I think first we should start with taking this apart so that I can take the pink part, because that is our base for the cookie cutter, and taking that away. Okay, so that is part 1 to line up for our cookie cutter. I'm going to slide all these other parts out of the way. And we'll leave this kind of like on the side as our guide. This one is done, so we'll leave it here. I will print that over the weekend. And this is our model, so this is what we want to look at and stare at. And this is our working part here. Let's play with this for a minute and see what we can do with this new feature. I mentioned the line width here. So the line width is different and interesting. So there's sharp, there's round, there's flat. Let's see where flat goes. Nowhere special for us. Flat seems to make it a little bulkier. But nowhere flat for us. Oh, quality, look at that. Oh wow, quality really changes. Wow. Wait, come back. Do we want it in the middle there at like 10? That actually looks a lot smoother, right?
Yeah, it is.
I think so. Maybe let's try this Ooh. Interesting. I think that might actually work for us. Something like that. And the reason is I kind of want to trim parts. I think it's going to be hard for me to explain how this is going to go. So I'm gonna try to do something like this. I'm gonna bring this over here, and I'm gonna make this a hole. Right there. And let's just line this up kind of quickly. No, come back here. Come back, dots. Okay, so if I make this a hole, then we see we're like trimming out parts. That's helpful, but not where I want to go. So let's back up. Let's take a peek at this. And instead of the thin parts, let's try default here and see what happens. There we go with default. Default may not help us. Ooh, maybe it will. Maybe that's exactly what I'm looking for right here. Partially. Let's do my cutting plan like I was discussing earlier, and cut this into parts. Let's duplicate this and pull it aside, just in case we end up with something we're going to work with here. Let's check it out. Let's slice this up real quick here. And combine those. There we go. So that is kind of a shape there. And it's got the thin edges, so now we can duplicate this. Yeah, and now we can use that's exactly that star piece and everything else. So now we can duplicate this and start making some of the other parts like that. If we join that, oh, now that looks a little creepy. Let's raise this back up. And maybe align them, just because I feel like it's not aligned. It's the shape on the chevrons is a little off, it looks like, between each chevron. So it may not work out to align them like that. The upper chevron and the second most upper chevron at the top of this are not the exact same dimension. The angle of this like sweeping cut right there. So that's interesting. I think we're gonna go with this though. I think we're gonna do this way, and we're gonna leave this as an option for cutting this out. Excuse me. Actually, let me break that back. Let me take that apart, because we're gonna duplicate that again. We're gonna pull it out. We're gonna make some holes on it, and we're gonna use it to align a few different options here, like that. Check it out. we will just make our chevrons our way. How about that? I'm going to duplicate this part again. Let's break this apart. This is where Tinkercad doesn't like having all the parts that are kind of chiseled together. So let's zoom in on this and see what we can cut away. Let's try that. So close. Back up. Let's make that just a tiny bit larger. And align it and see how that works out. This is going to be awkward right here. Oh no, actually not. That is looking better. Can we do a little bit better than that though? Maybe we can trim some thin lines. Like that. Yes, now we're getting that space in the middle that we were looking for. Now we can use this one and get an even bigger space in the middle. Okay. Yeah, this is why I kind of assumed that this was going to take a bit of work with chopping these all up. And I'm going to pull this, scale that out a little tiny bit. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, that does work. Let's see how that looks. Oh, wow. Okay. So now we've got that skinny part. Or this getting skinnier part. And it's getting close to a 2 millimeter edge. So let's, excuse me. Let's take this back. Make this a little larger. Again. Trying to keep all the same like measurements. That might be a little too big. Yeah. Cool. So now we're starting. It's getting very close to that like 2 millimeter width. This part right here. It's getting very close to that 2 millimeter size, just like the cutter was, just like the edge of the cutter. If we bring this over and put them next to each other, that's pretty close to 2 millimeters right there. So we could actually like raise this up and make it like a trimming piece now, which was kind of what I was going for. It's a lot of work just to get that part of it. But it's not bad so far. Now we need a second set underneath of it. So let's see what happens here when I do this. I'm going to make this go a little faster. Ooh, no. See if we can lower that down even further. Maybe like that. Better. I still feel like that's a little too thin, right? Like if we tried to use this as a cutter, is it gonna cut that line? Possibly. Very, very possible. Let's make it a hole so we can see a little better. Yeah, suppose that would cut those parts. And that's kind of what we're looking for the icing, right? Is to be able to trim those parts out of this. So if we wanted to trim this part out, this would do a decent job of it right there, at least the top part. And that's what I was looking for. This is what I would normally do in Tinkercad for all of this, before all of the other crazy shapes. So now I kind of want to see how we can make that happen without doing all that cutting and deleting and everything else, because that's, I mean, you see where that was kind of monotonous and boring and took us 20 minutes, 25 minutes. And I haven't really done anything with this outside shape here. So I'm going to pull this away. I'm going to work with this one right now. Let's zoom in on this. Let's see. Oh, we don't have options for we don't have options for shape. So let's go back to our role model here. Let's set this aside because we may come back to this. We'll put this with our work in progress right next to our work in progress. Let's take a peek at this, how we can adjust adjust the settings here. Ooh. No, none of those are helpful. Oh no, we need I'm wrong. And kind of crazy right now. We need this one to work with. So if you kind of see where I'm going here, this thing, this tan one, and the pink one next to it. The pink side is thinner and cleaner slightly, and it's like inverse. So I'm not sure that we could do the same thing with this, but let's try it out. Like that. Stop me if I tried this already. So now it's a little crazy for sizes. But that actually, wow, that is kind of what we want, right? Minus this thing up here. Oh my gosh, yeah. That would work out pretty well for a cutter. We just need to fix the top and bottom. Ah, okay. All right, hopefully everybody's not annoyed with me yet. Let's fix the top and bottom on that. And then we get a better shape. Wait a minute. Am I confused? I am confused. So if that were icing on a cookie, that would look reasonable, right? think we probably got to do like a circle here, like a thin circle on the outside of this stuff. I know it. I know we need to look at the image. Hi. Sorry. So there we go. So that is the image that we're looking at. And that is what we kind of want to cut into this. Just for a reminder, I'm forgetting myself. I'm getting all like flustered and I'm doing the same thing over and over again. So the distraction aside, we look back at this shape, and we kind of want the blue lines to be thin and cut out this this shape. So if we come back to this part here looks very, very, very close to it. I think we need to fix the upper part and the lower part, and then maybe add this circle. So maybe the wall thickness, we will do 1.5 millimeters and have it trim. And can we do this like that? Maybe we can't. That starts to seem like it's a little too into the bottom and top, right? I'm starting to catch the chevrons on the bottom, rockers on the bottom. Better. Oh wait, no, maybe we just trim. Duh. Hold on. It should be touching? Yeah, that's what I'm... Oh, I'm mashing out extra buttons. I'm thinking if we're trimming this, I want to... Hear me out. Should this be a hole here like this and trim the circle part from the upper? Yeah. Cool. Thank you. But here's... I'm thinking maybe this should get trimmed a little bit, like right there. Maybe the wall thickness is not 3, but 2. Like that. Except I caught a tiny bit of the edge right there. Let me move that up a tiny bit. I think this probably makes it look a lot better from a cutting standpoint. And we'll make the inside a little smaller because I'm catching part of the star. Yeah, like that. Like... So that looks smoother, right? That looks better. That looks like I'm not butchering so much of this. Then it's just up to fix. Sweet, yeah. Then it's just up to fixing the top and bottom rocker, right? And that's probably the awkward part. Yeah, exactly. So let me see. Let's duplicate this one. Or, wait, let's duplicate this one. And we will use our little cutting block here. Dun, dun, dun. Let's zoom in, because I'm crazy now. Like that. And we'll duplicate this one, slide it up, make it a hole. Just a tiny, tiny bit bigger. Oh, snap. That's going to work, isn't it? Without making me want to do too much. There. There it is. Yes! Okay, so I think we fixed the top part. How do we... Let's line this up. That way. And start sliding this down. That might get a little too close. Let's try that. What do you think? That doesn't look bad? Excellent. Now the rocker on the bottom is going to be a challenge. Let's see. Maybe how do we trim this rocker out with the holes on the bottom? Maybe we start with a block to cut the top out and then a circle to see if we can separate the rockers? Or do we need to separate the rockers? What if we just duplicate this? And bring it all down as close as we can. Let's try that out first before we go crazy. Something like that. And I don't know why I'm aligning it, because it doesn't really need it. No, I can't hear you. No, it's sound is not happening for us. It's okay. I'm on the chat now. So if we do that, I hear a little bit now, yeah. So there, okay, there we go. Now we've cut away a pretty reasonable chunk. Now I just need to do some triangle type work. Actually, I'll just grab some boxes. Dun da da. We're going to duplicate this box, drag it over here, do a little rotating. There we go. Okay, we have a solid shape there now. Let's try and put this back up here. Okay, that looks a lot wider than one rocker right there. So let's try to slide that up as much as we can. Like that. I think that's as far as we're going to go. Let's combine that. Yeah, There we go. I feel like that might be the solution right there. It is slightly too big to fit on this. But it's okay. So what I'm going to do now, because we have our one model right here, we want a second model, which is going to be this one. Just in case we get enough time to do something else, I'm going to grab another piece here. Let's set this on our model, and I'm going to shrink this down a bit. Wait, we want to turn this into a hole. For another part. Let's look underneath. Line those up. The sneaky look underneath part. And we'll turn that into a hole. Now we'll drop this down. Like that. How thick is that? We'll go 2 millimeters thick right there. Oh, I mashed the wrong button. Sorry. Okay. So if I combine those, now we've got a trimmer. Did I do this wrong? I did this wrong, didn't I? We should be using this shape, right? Let's lift that up some so we can see it. Oh, that's so awkward. We need to shrink it. Like that. It's not looking quite so good. Maybe, hold on, maybe. Nope. Nope. Okay. I think we're stumped here on this one for just a second. How do we fit these two together like that? I guess we do the, well, I mean, the cookie can have a border on, like the icing can have a border on it, right? I think that's what, oh, if we go back and look at the picture, there is the outside edge right there, that blue part on the bars on both sides. So maybe we're not butchering this. Maybe that is a fairly accurate take right there. It's just that the top part looks a little skewed. But for the rest of this, it's not bad. Let's cut that out and see what happens. There. We could try that as a trimmer. It's 2 millimeters tall. We make it 4 millimeters tall. And this is going to be a complicated one. But let's line it up like this. Let's change the color on this one so we can get a better look at it. Something like that. Yeah, yeah, I see that one. We'll add a little box. We will zoom in on that little box. Actually, the square might not be the right solution here. We might need to do this thing. Undo. 1 second. Will I get stuff butchered here? 90. And let's turn it 90. 45. And bring it right here. Okay, now we're getting closer to trimming that part off. Okay, we're going to trim it right there. Or not. Better. There it is. So that will help with the printing. We won't notice that. Now that we're zoomed so close in, look at how chunky the end of this this chevron is at the top. That's what's making it look a little skewed on this cookie cutter like that. But I think what I want to try is I want to use this, and I'm going to use it full size on one and not full size on the other. And we're going to print the two of those this weekend and try that out and see what happens as far as the functionality for this part. There we go. So hopefully this actually cuts the shape out. Although that's a whole lot of space in the middle there. So actually I'm gonna leave this just like that. We're gonna print this one as well as this one. And see what works best for the cookie and the fondant type thing. And now let's shrink this down for the icing. See how it looks like that. Something like that. In fact, hold on, excuse me. Let's use a box and trim this just a little bit so it's not so bulky on the outside. Zoom. Oh, that's taking forever. Something like that. A little better. We will print that one instead of this one. Actually, I will just delete that. We will also use this over here. So we're going to print a couple of these and try them out and see how they show up for us. We're also going to do this. And I'm going to try one more while we still have a few minutes. And I hope you're ready for it, because I just had a really crazy idea, and this might be completely useless, but it might be really, really cool. So I'm going to try that right there. Now, I'm gonna do something ridiculous over here. So we've got these thin lines right here that we were trimming, right? So I'm going to try something else. Watch this. We're going to duplicate this. I'm going to drag it down. I'm going to flip it like that. And we're going to put it here. And I will duplicate it. Oh, nope, wrong one. I will duplicate this. Nope, wrong button. I will duplicate this and drag it down again. Let's line these all up this way. All right, you ready for this? I just want to click on a part so I can zoom in. Okay, so I've got this part here. I'm trying to line up the very ends of it. That looks good. Now I've got this bottom part. I want to line up basically like that. Okay. So I'm going to grab these 3 pink parts, and we're going to combine them. Now I'm going to drop this circle in the middle and cut them all out. Cut out that circle. Like that. That is starting to get a little interesting. Now, can I add the star? Think I can put the star back in there? And put some rockers on the bottom? out of something thin. Let's duplicate this. See if we can break this apart. Let's throw these away. Let's see what's in here. Oh, we trimmed that part out. Yeah, okay. We'll throw that away. Tinkercad's starting to get mad at me. If you've ever done this with Tinkercad and you've seen it like goes through like a delay and it'll pause and it doesn't want to do stuff. Tinkercad has a I'm gonna take like a 2-minute design break, and I'm gonna switch the stream back to a me explanation. Tinkercad has a limit because it's in a browser, and it can only use so much memory. So we now have a bunch of parts in this model. We have so many holes and shapes that each of them takes up a little tiny bit of memory, and when you start piling them in here like we're doing, like if you look up on my screen now, we've literally got 6, 8, 10, 12 like objects here, and they're all made out of a bunch of shapes. So 12 even if they're the average of 3 shapes, 24, that's about 75 shapes in here. Tinkercad starts to get a little frustrated, and Tinkercad doesn't want to doesn't know what to do with all the shapes in the memory, so it's got to like keep like juggling them in memory space, and that's why you see these pauses and these like it looks like it's not doing what you want it to do. It's not because it's not working. It's just that Tinkercad is using the memory from your browser. So if you're finding this happening, maybe close some browser tabs, which is what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to close the browser tab for the image, and maybe you save your workspace, you hop out of it, you close your browser, you open your browser again. That will sometimes refresh the memory that's assigned to it from Windows, and it will close all the memory spaces all over your computer and give it a big block of space that it can work with, instead of when it grabs more and more space from here and there and wherever. Just something I think happens as a guy who occasionally writes a piece of code here and there. So it sometimes gets frustrating, and it looks like Tinkercad's not working, or it's not doing what you want, and it looks like it's pausing, and that's not really the case. It's just that we're starting to pack a bunch of stuff into this, and it might be running out of memory. So I'm gonna switch my view back to this thing as I take my 2-minute pause here. We're gonna zoom into this. That was the original shape. We're gonna undo that back to the way it was. Yeah, there we go. And I am going to cut away everything else. Again. Just like that, I think. So let's try that. And now we're waiting. This will be the confusing part. Are we waiting for that to happen or not? Okay. We're going to combine those. Now we're waiting. This is the part where I mentioned, like, it might look like it's not doing what you wanted it to do. Wait, were they even lined up? Oh, they weren't lined up. They were, that's why it didn't look like it was working. It literally was not working. I did not see the dark part like that. Duh. Let's grab another little shape right here. And we'll drop that down in it like that. Pull it aside. trim that out. It also helps when if we're making these holes, sometimes it helps to drop the sides down even less like that, because then we're not we're using less sides that Tinkercad has to keep track of. And I see a little error right there. So we're going to drag this over just a tiny bit more. Dun da da. Dun da da. There. Did I get the right dimensions? Let me move my grid back to 1 so we can move fast here. So that looks reasonable, yeah? For shape. If we pull this all the way out, it starts to stretch. You can see it stretching. So when I stretch it like that, the ends kind of look fatter than the middle. And I think that means we can't do that, stretch that way. What we need to do is... No. Scale it. Let's undo everything there. Wait, come back. Okay. So we need to scale like that. And I want to make this taller so we can work with it in the shape. That's not bad right there. But we need to scale it just a tiny bit more because I need to trim the ends off. I butchered this to the point where that's not going to work. And that's not going to work anyway because those look like different angles from different shapes. So if we look at the angles between the pink and the yellow, they are definitely off a little bit. I'm not a fan of my genius idea here anymore. It just doesn't look like it's going to work without a lot of work, a lot of trimming, basically. So let's leave this guy down here. Let's see what else can we do with this. Maybe we can trim this away. Let's try that. That'll be our last attempt before we check out for the night. We will try to trim this away from everything away from the top of this. So let's drag it to the side so I can get some parts around it, and we will drag it out, drag it up like that. Kind of drop that down a bit. Let's zoom in and get a better look. And we can definitely do that. Let's move it down a 0.5 millimeter. Okay, that might be all I can cut out with just a square. Yep, like that. Cool. Let's do the oval thing again. The oval thing kind of worked. We might need to do 2 ovals, but okay. I'm going to shrink the sides down on the oval to make it a little better. Actually, and we're going to pull this in some so I can get even further down. Awkward. Like that. Did I get the whole... Oh, just barely touching part of the... Oh! You know what might work better? Is this half circle right here. So let's try this. Ooh. Got it. Got it in one shot. So close. Okay. There we go. Let's try this out now. Let's delete that. Get rid of some extra parts around here. That looks like it kind of fits now, right? Yeah. Excellent. So if we duplicate that. Yeah, right? We can slide that up some. The angles are still a little off. Oh, nope. Come back. So what if we do this? What if we shrink this up some? Like that. So that it starts to match the shadow right there. There we go. That's a little better. So let's pull this one out of here. See what happens if we do this. So let's kind of drag this till we can line up like that. Duplicate it. And try to move it up. No, that looks terrible up here in the top. Up there. Like the distance between these parts right here does not look to be aligning very well. So maybe we pull this down, do that. I don't know. I don't think this is gonna work out the way I wanted it to. I think the chevrons on the top are different shape than the rockers. Well, let's look at this. Let's look at our role model here. We're kind of making something thinner. But yeah, you can see by the time the bottom gets here, the chevrons are just different. So I don't think this is gonna work the way I'm hoping it would. Sadly, that was a lot of extra effort for not much else. I'm gonna delete this part. I'm gonna delete all these parts. The parts I was trying. And let's see. Let's go with I want to go with one last try here, and I'm thinking maybe do this and trim this. But, oh, wait. Let's turn this into a I got it. Let's turn this into a shape. do that same circle cut we did earlier. Crank the sides up. Make it look nice. We'll go with 23 by 23 right here. Make it look presentable for the, we'll go 2 millimeters, no, 1 millimeter. And 1 millimeter. Nope. Negative 0.5 millimeters. Ooh. Negative 0.6 millimeters. Yep, there it is, right there. Okay, cool. And that is centered. Let's shrink this down so our memory isn't eaten up with extra space. Trim that. There we go. Now we've got this very, very good circle. It's a very clear circle on us. And let's lift this up a bit. Just a hair. Oh! We wanted 2 chevrons cut out. So, let's shrink this up a bit. Oh, I'm using the wrong button. I was not scaling. I was controlling, not scaling. But since we need the top and the bottom to actually trim. How's that? Is that reasonable? As an edge? Yeah, I feel like that is reasonable right there. Yeah. Okay. There. That. Oh, you know what? Hold on. Here's my problem with this. My problem with this is this big space in the middle. And I just realized something. We are turning this into a hole without the shape. With that big thing in the middle. And what we need to do is cut that big thing in the middle out. That is my big beef with all of these designs so far. And how do we get rid of that big pink space in the middle here? I think the secret is in here somewhere. Yeah, it is. We need a diamond shape. We can turn this into a diamond shape. 45 degrees. Kind of slide it like that. And set it in here. Drop it down to 3, make it a hole. Right? Will this work? Wait, no. Wrong. We need this to be the hole. This to be the shape. Drop this down below it. Okay. Now we've got that whole thing. Okay. Shift, shift, join, group. Now we've got a hole that we can fit in the middle. Cool. I'm going to scale this down just a tiny bit. Like that. We're going to lift it up so we can see it. Do I need to scale it just a little bit more? Let's align it. And we need to drop it down. Like, not even all the way there. But something like that. Something like that. Let's try that. Oh, that's so much better, right? Except I want to put that circle back in there. So let's do the circle thing. Just like that. Two millimeters. Combine. Group. However you would like to call it. I'm gonna add one more feature to this. I'm gonna put a hole right in the middle. Like that. And that will finish trimming. And that is how I'm gonna leave this part of it. I'm gonna make this a 19 by 19. No, that might be too thick, right? Let's go 19.5 by 19.5. Yeah? And let's slide it south a little bit. Like that. That's starting to look like it might cut the right shape now. Ta-da! Yeah, that's starting to look like a cookie cutter. We could try to get crazy. Yeah, right? Yeah, it's not just like all space. That was my big beef with our other parts. So this now might be thin enough to actually work like a cookie cutter. We can stick it on, like we can raise it up higher and stick it on our plate here and have it actually work. I'm tempted to try to print it like it is also. So I think what I might do is duplicate this. We might try to print that As long as it fits inside here, which it does. Yeah, cool, look at that, it fits in there. Oh, you know what? This, that chevron is loose. So the top and bottom rocker parts are loose. They will not print on their own. Like they will come out of the print. Nice try, but okay. All right, fine. Well, I think that's pretty much all we can do here is this right here. And let's see how tall I made that. This part. We'll go 5 millimeters right there. Make it stand out a bit. And we'll combine those. I'm gonna print quite a few parts over the weekend. It looks like 6 parts total, right there. And I think we're done. I think that's where I'm gonna leave this project for the night. We have so many different parts and so many different ways to help with this cookie cutter project, and I'm gonna leave this alone for now. I'm gonna end the stream and our chat and everything else because I've been sitting still for 2 hours and I gotta go to the bathroom, which it seems to be a problem with my little tiny bladder lately. But yeah, that's about it. That's about all I got for our project tonight. I'm glad I had company. I'm glad the design team was chimed in to work on this. I'm gonna print some of this over the weekend and share what it looks like in our Slack channel, and I will see everybody on Saturday.